Some of you said yes, some of you said, a lot of it's find the, do the research, do the homework. I can say from very quickly just viewing this that all of you obviously did some homework. You looked at the anatomy, you figured out what it is that I want to try and how am I going to use the page. This is a multiple problematic project. You're doing design. Okay, you're doing design. Here's my space. X amount of space to work in, and how do I use it? Okay, congratulations, you're good at that. You're having to do some research on what these things look like. By the way, is there anyone up there, you're looking at your work because you put it up there and you're in love with it and you've been dealing with it for some time, but is there another piece up there that you might think, well, that's pretty good?
Yes.
I like that idea. Well, good. One thing, this is going to be absolutely essential for, I'll say it out loud, but you probably know this already. I will give you information on anatomy, but a lot of it's study on, most of it's you. You do the research, you do looking up, you find the information, and you've got to go through the effort to make it happen. By going through the effort of doing the research, copying, it's really just, I'm just copying something. It's not overly creative, on the other hand. We learn things. We sometimes remember these things. Quick story. I'm in 10th grade of high school. History test. I was lousy at, well, of course, it also depends on your teachers. Some teachers can be dull and boring. I probably am. Some teachers can be very exciting. This history teacher I had, not the most exciting of classes, and I really, even back then, I wanted to just go to the art class. I didn't want to really be in history class. I didn't want to be in math class. I wanted to be in the art class. Okay, well, so the stuff we're studying in history wasn't very exciting, although I eventually did get some pretty good teachers in history, and I do find history very interesting now. So long story short, big test, gotta pass. I'm in trouble here. And so the night before the big test, I sit down with a little itty bitty piece of paper. You know where this is going already. And take the time to carefully write out all the things that are going to be on the big test. Little itty bitty piece of paper, tiny thing. It's not a big sin, it's a little one, because it's on a little piece of paper. And put it in my pocket, and I'm guilty already. I'm a very honest individual, to tell you the truth. My better half, Chrissy, she goes, you can't lie, Kevin, you're not very good at it, and, I'm just flat not good at it. And so in any event, I take the test comes to me, and I read the first question, and, wow, I know the answer. I'll read the second question. I know that one too. The third one, of course, is you know where this is going. Because I went through the effort to write down, commit the evil sin on the little piece of paper, all that little information, some of it went up in my memory. Some of it stuck in there somehow. It was magic, And, of course, I was guilty of sin, because I was going to cheat. I was a bad boy. I felt terrible. Okay, and I had really one nice fortunate thing. My desk was against the wall like this, and this is an old school building we were in, and there was this hole down here in the wall, and what it was a kind of a suction vent. Air came in, and then it came out someplace else or something like that. It's a really old building, and so all year I kept throwing bits of paper in there because it was really cool. You throw something in there and it would float away. And because I was a guilty individual and was awful and evil and terrible and sinned and everything else like that, and I didn't use the piece of paper. I didn't use the little cheat sheet. But, I was guilty, I figured out if I just sort of throw the paper in there, it'll kind of drift away. And it would be like I'm being absolved of my evil deed, And Something I had no idea of was the fact that apparently up in the upper reaches of this thing, there must be some kind of screen up there so that bad stuff doesn't get pulled into the fan and the mechanisms and things like that. That what happens eventually somewhere down the way, they apparently must turn the fan off. And so thus the piece of paper that was up there on the fan apparently comes back down to where it was. And so the next class, of course, comes about. I got a real good grade. I got like a B plus, something like that on the test. And the teacher spent, the first 10, 15 minutes of class talking about the evils of cheating on tests and things like that. And then managed to also finish the discussion like right next to my chair, in this discussion. And I didn't do it, but in my heart and soul I did, Many of you know more about the bones because of what you've done. I couldn't confess to the teacher that I didn't use it. He probably thought evil things of me for the rest of the time we spent together in school. But it's one of those things that I just remember it very well because I've gone through the effort to figure out, how does something work? How does the hand work? What's in there? What's inside the arm that makes it work? That makes it easier for me to draw. When we're drawing today in a little while, I'm going to actually, one thing that's going through my mind constantly is I'm drawing someone's back. This is the trapezius muscle. This is the latissimus muscle. These are I am often building it over the top of the structure under which I already know exists. And it's one of those things that these are the things that roam to the back of my mind as I'm doing any given drawing. And the results tend to be that, I can draw it better, because back to what I said, you can't draw anything unless you know it exists. That prevents us from doing that superficial thing of the man on the bathroom wall, kind of thing. Because we, as novices, we draw outlines a lot, just the simplest of shapes. And then as we go along, one thing I tell a lot of you, and I probably will, is now once you've got some idea where the beginning is and the end is and the basic shape of it is, now we got to figure out the good stuff in between, the part that fleshes it out, the middle values, the gray tones, the good part actually, because something else I might say about this is there are some that stand out better than others. Am I right? And that has to do with contrast, the strength of the piece of art itself. That may come from the design of it too, And some of you are going, well, I should have done something more like that. Am I right? Congratulations. That's normal. That's normal. And as you did what you did, when you're doing it and you're this close to it and you're all by yourself, you're in this wonderful little zone where you're working all by yourself, you don't know what everyone else is doing. It's only afterwards that you see the possibilities. And that's the diversity of the room. Look at us all. We're 20 some odd people in this room, and we're all individuals. And art is an individual arena. It's very subjective, It's very difficult sometimes to grade, because it is subjective. It is, it's effort-based. Does anyone here think that, let me phrase this right, you didn't put the effort forth that you should have? Very few of you, though. Okay. X amount of effort. I mentioned it last week, the number of lotta, you can't, a lot of time for one person is a short amount of time for another. Someone in this room, somewhere on this wall, the individual has done countless hours of drawing, long study by themselves, because the arts it's a solitary endeavor. It's not that, it's not like a team sport kind of thing. It is something that we do as individuals, and